Hello YouTube and welcome to another episode of The Cloudy Vape. In this video we're going to be talking about the Aromamizer RDTA. This is a tank with a deck that is a lot like a RDA. It's a 3-post design, very small teeny deck, and the juice kind of just flows down into a well and then it wicks into your cotton. So that's how that works. Very simplistic. This is the 3 ml juice capacity one. There also is a 5 ml juice capacity one. In the up and close, I'll be looking at the 5 ml juice capacity, but I will be telling you a little bit of specs on the 3 ml. Now, to clear up something on my last video about the Aromamizer RDTA version 2, I mentioned I did not like the spit back protection drip tips, and I'll explain why. I thought I explained pretty well in the last video, but just to kind of clear it up why I'm not a big fan of the spit back protection, I can just show you an illustration, I guess. So this is a spit back protection drip tip. Let's have a look at it real quick. Okay, so you have like a top section that's completely blocked off. You have airflow all around, and that's what that's going to be. So once you put it down, you have a little vape. Gonna have a vape on it. Let's just do a little puff. Okay, so it cools off the vapor. It reduces spit back, but the sensation of the inhale is just really restricted, and the draw just feels really weird, like you have extremely closed off airflow. That's how I'm feeling. It just doesn't make sense if you have these huge, 4 3 millimeter airflow all around, and then you have this extremely huge reduction at the drip tip. And it makes the vapor production less flavor for me. It's not as warm, and it really doesn't do anything besides reduce spit back. And if you build the deck correctly, any device, you're not going to have spit back. If you don't over juice it, you don't put too much juice or oversaturate the coils or the cotton, you're not going to have spit back. So the purpose of a spit back protection is really, it's pointless to me. I don't really ever have issues with spit back. So that is just my thought, but I will show you now. Let me take the drip tip off and just go directly to the little teeny drip tip, and let's have another vape like that. So as you can see, definitely more vapor production. So this is definitely reducing the airflow, and it just creates a weird sensation. It's really hard to explain it, besides once you try it, you'll know exactly what I mean. It's just different, and it's not what I enjoy. So that is really why I don't enjoy it. I'd rather just use a regular drip tip and not this spit back protection, because it really does nothing for me. I'm vaping it without a drip tip. And I'm getting no spit back. So what is the point of spit back protection if you have no spit back? That's kind of my thought. So hope that clears it up for you guys. But I digress. Let's go back to this actual review. Just wanted to clear that up for people. So this does have the spit back protection drip tip, just like the other Aromamizer version 2 and version 1. But as far as the performance, it performs well. You just don't have a lot of room to build on. That's the real thing I don't enjoy about this. But let's do it wide open with the spit back protection and have a couple vapes. Let's go for it. So really wispy, really not a lot of vapor production, not really good flavor at all. It's just not a very desirable vape for me. If I close off the airflow really tight and do like a mouth to lung inhale, it's really good flavor and it works really well. But this wide open, they're about 3 millimeters, 4 3 millimeter airflow holes all around, just doesn't really work for me. So it's kind of hard to explain when you look at it, but basically the airflow is more lined up with the top of the posts, whereas your coils are going to be below the posts. So you're almost getting the above coil airflow rather than underneath. Most RDAs, you can line up the coils so it hits right underneath the coil and then comes up. This is just barely just going on top of the coil. You're not really getting the optimal flavor. You definitely get better flavor when you get airflow from underneath the coil and on top of the coil. That's really where you're going to get the best flavor, in my opinion, personally. So if they just change it up a little bit, basically if they made the post a little bit higher or just drop the airflow down just a little bit more, you would definitely get better flavor. And the chamber just seems a little bit too tall. You don't really need a chamber that tall. Yeah, that's just kind of my thought. And I even, I'm trying this 3 mil one because there's less chimney, so hopefully there would be better flavor, but to me they're exactly the same. I don't really taste any difference. Same exact build, same juice, 5 mil to 3 mil. I'm not tasting like better flavor or reduction in the chamber. But I'm kind of going in pros and cons right away, so that's kind of a rant right now. It's just a little bit of rant, and I've just been ranting about this. But without more ranting, I'm gonna shut up. We're gonna dive down. We're gonna look at the 5 mil juice capacity one, come back up and rant about it again. So let's dive down and check it out. All right, so here's the Aromamizer RDTA, if you see it right there, by Steam Crave. So this is a little fancy device, kind of weird, definitely kind of weird. So this is the 6 mil juice capacity one, and there also is a 3 mil juice capacity one, which you probably saw me using on the actual up close part. But we're kind of just going to dive down into the 6 mil juice capacity because it's all cleaned out and stuff. So as far as, let me get the little paper here and tell you a little bit more about the dimensions of this one. So the 6 mil juice capacity is 55 millimeters in height. That's without this drip tip right here, which comes off right there. So it's about 56.6 millimeters. It's a 22 millimeter tank system. And then this little kind of rubber or silicone band sticks out probably about 26 or so. It does have these little edges on it. So that's that. With the drip tip is about 9.5 millimeters. So it does add a bit of a height to it with this drip tip. So it's not too bad. As far as the 3 mil juice capacity, that's 45 millimeters in height, also with a 9.5 millimeter drip tip. And it is also the same thing. You have a silicone, rubber band for it, and you do have it is the same size, so it is a 22 millimeter tank basically. So yeah, that's about it. That's all I'm gonna read. The rest I'm just gonna spit it freestyle. So just gonna set this aside real quick. Let's look at the goodies. So it comes with a black kind of silicone band. Here is a pink one for the ladies, I guess, or if you like that color. Here is extra stuff. So it comes automatically with Phillips head screws in it, but you can put Allen key grub screws in it also if you want. So it comes with replacement Phillips head screws and replacement grub screws with Allen keys. It also comes with a bunch of O-rings, a whole bunch of O-rings to basically cover the whole entire device once more. Just a little bit of foaminess, just going to throw that. You do have a replacement glass section. Now I believe, let me look at this. No, that is it. I thought this was maybe the smaller glass section, but nope. I am wrong. Let's look in here. You do have a big oversized blue screwdriver. Not too shabby. Going to throw that aside. And they give you an Allen key also to match the grub screws. So it doesn't matter what you pick. They give you what you need. So here's a little user manual. Basically, it's they're kind of pimping their other device also in here. You have your Aromamizer RDTA 2 version 2, whatever. Here is your kind of your other line of stuff, and then this is an Aromamizer tank that's coming out soon, I guess. Kind of just tells you a little bit about the system, how it fills and stuff, but you don't really need to know that. I can just show you it. Then this kind of just shows you how it breaks apart. So I don't know if you want to take a mental note and see how it breaks apart all the way down. So not too bad at all. Just kind of get a look at it. Nothing crazy there. Let's just break it apart. Well, not really break it apart, but unscrew it and look at it. So here's the device right away. So right away, what I'm going to show you is this band, because that's the thing that kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, which I really don't like this band. This is not a smart idea, at least in my opinion. The idea of it being very grippy is nice. The idea that it actually cuts off airflow is nice, but the problem is, once your tank, especially if you have a really warm build, it's going to warm this up. As a little bit of condensation kind of builds up, it's going to just kind of be a little bit slippery. And then also, say you go to put it in your pocket, because there's a lip right there, it's going to pop up or slip down depending on how you're pulling the device out of your pocket. But it does have, if you can see, it's kind of weird. Basically has little grips on each side. It has 4 grips. 2 here and 2 here, and then you have your airflow, which is about 3.5 millimeter airflow, if not larger. Very large airflow, and there's 4 holes on this, matching up with the 4 holes on this. So as you put it on, you can cut off that airflow, but you can only cut off basically 4 at a time. You can't just like cut it off and only have 2. You have to cut it off. So if you see right here, here's the airflow. I'm going to cut it off just a little bit like that. If you look on the other side, it's cut off. All 4 are cut off. So that's how you adjust the airflow. Real quickly, looking at the drip tip, that I cannot stand this drip tip. And that's just all Aromamizer drip tips. I'm just not a fan of this kind of spit back protection. It just feels like it really restricts, not really restricts, but just makes it feel different. You definitely have a big stop going on right there, and I just don't like the sensation, and I don't like the flavor that comes out of these drip tips. So not a big fan of this drip tip. It has a decent bore on it, but because it's so reduced down here, even though all of these airflows together might be larger than the actual diameter of the drill of the bore, it just still feels a little bit weird to me. But that's just me. It does have a little O-ring on there that has broken quite a few times, and I have replaced it. Like right now, I'm probably going to break it again, putting it back in. It's just, all the machining in this is super, super top notch. Absolutely great, except this top section. This top section is super sharp. Absolutely super sharp. Even the inside of this is sharp too. So out of all of this, the machining is great. Nothing knocking on any of the machining except that top part right there where your drip tip goes in. It just feels so darn sharp. Everything else is stellar, absolutely stellar. So you do have on the bottom, you do have a little bit of gripping. I always get that word wrong, nurdling maybe, but just if you see, you just have a nice little texture going along there. Gives you a nice little grip to unscrew your deck. If you look down here, this is not adjustable to my knowledge, because what will happen, it'll kind of adjust the deck itself inside. So it'll adjust to a point, but then, just back off. Just kind of be cautious if you do need to adjust this pin. And this pin does look like some sort of gold plating. It does have a serial number, so this is number 164. It says designed by BJ Shi, and you do have an insulator around there. Taking this deck off right here, so it just unscrews, and then all of a sudden, look at that. You have a 3-post design, which is, it's cool. Okay, don't get me wrong, it's cool, but because it's kind of a false illusion. Okay, so the inner circle, not this outer ring, the inner circle is what's being capped off. So if you look right in here, that inner circle is being capped off. So you really only have inside of the inner circle to put your coil, because if you go out, you're going to hit the edge of this, and then those little teeny holes in there is all the juice channel. That's all it is, and it's supposed to go on this outer ring in here. The kind of outer well around here will fill up because the juice is coming out of this top section. It'll fill up and then come up those little holes, which is great for like a 50-50, but thicker juices don't really wick very well. And the reason is, and this is my thought, is you can't really get that large of coils in here. You have to do very, very small coils to even fit down inside there for it to wick properly. So higher VGs, max VGs, me personally, I feel don't wick as well as they could on this. But, 50-50s, 60-40s work fine. Once you start getting up to like 70 VG and higher, it just doesn't wick very, very quickly. So the majority of builds I put in this are like 24 gauge or 26 gauge, even some twisted 28. And I've done little micro coils, small coils in there to really just get that coil to set and to center. So I do center coils right in there, and then just kind of fold the cotton down in, very little bit of cotton, and the cotton just lays where those four little holes are, which are probably like 0.5 millimeter, if not smaller. They're very teeny. Maybe 1 millimeter, maybe, but they're still very small. So that's that. So this whole deck does unscrew, comes off, which I don't know if they're planning on making a, another deck. I would be so excited if they did a different deck on this, because the only thing that really bums me out about this device is the deck. The deck just really just bums me out, because I think 3-post for this style was a bad idea personally. I feel like 2-post or even a dual center post would have worked a lot better on this, just because of the size and what they're trying to fit in there. So like I said, these are Phillips head screws right here. They're pretty nice. They work really well. Your center post is a little bit larger. Your center hole right there to fit in wire is a little bit larger than your outer ones. So you probably have 1.5 millimeters, if not 2, on the negative post holes, and then you probably have 2 to 2.5 millimeters on the positive post hole. So that is that. You do, I believe it is a peak insulator down there that I just popped off, and that is basically your deck. So you build your deck, you get it all set up, and then you look down in here and you're like, what's going on? What is going on? So these are basically, you have 8 holes right here, and these are very generous, about 3 millimeter holes for your juice flow. These go directly down into the tank. Now the catch is, now you have holes there and holes there. What's going on? Well, I know I'm talking to myself. So here's your airflow, and then down here you have your juice flow basically, and they're completely separate. So there is a chamber isolating it, and this hole right here only goes straight through and into the inner section, and this outer section is kind of insulated. And you're not at all, when this juice falls down, is it ever touching this airflow when it's falling down. So it's isolated, if that makes sense. So what you do is you pick any of those holes right there, you fill up your juice, it starts filling up, no problem at all. And then you would turn around and put your deck on upside down, of course, because you don't want it to fall. Turn it like that, let it drip down in there. And like I said, once it starts dripping, it's going to pool up on the larger circular well around here, and then it's going to come underneath, and it's actually going to hit those small juice flow holes coming from the bottom of the deck. And that is how this thing wicks. So it's very interesting style. First time I've really seen this style, at least. Now, I've seen a lot of devices do this, where they kind of just have the juice falling down. I just haven't really seen this style of wicking. So this is kind of a new design, so to speak. So definitely kudos to Steam Crave for coming up with this design. Not bad at all. Now, this does come apart in just a few sections. You have your kind of section right here. I believe this is the only part. This is all one part because it's kind of a large chamber. So you see right there, very, very slightly, you can see the juice flow channels going down. There's your airflow, and you got a conical shape going in there. I believe this is a, oh my gosh, 303 or 304 stainless steel. I cannot remember the construction. Let me look real quick. Okay, so I'm not seeing the actual grade of stainless steel on any of the marketing that I have, but I'll definitely note it in the description box below, so keep an eye out for that. So like I said, this is your little section that connects to your deck, has your juice flow and your airflow. The way you adjust your airflow, like I showed you before, you put your little band on and you just kind of twist it. So there's always going to be a little bit of fore open. It's going to be, you know, just a tiny bit, you know, half or a quarter or an eighth, but 4 all around, an eighth of 4 all the way around. So it is a little bit weird. I wish there was an option for just 2 air holes or 4, and then you can adjust accordingly. As far as this goes, I believe this is some sort of Pyrex. Kind of feels like a Pyrex glass. So you do have a replacement glass for this when it does come with it. As far as everything else, there is your drip tip, as I noted before. Not a big fan of this drip tip. It does have that spit back protection thing going on. As far as everything else, let me see. I believe this section unscrews. Hold on one second. Right there unscrews. Okay, so that barrel unscrews. And does anything else come apart? No, maybe not. From what I can see, that is, so this is one piece, this kind of stem piece. So your drip tip goes down there. This is your chimney stem. This is kind of just the top section that the barrel connects to, then your glass connects to. So we can start from, let's just start from right here, and we'll kind of just put it all together. So let's grab that drip tip. I'll just put it all back together for you. So there's your drip tip. You want your kind of top section, which does have an O-ring right there to seal off the glass section. Screw that down. That's on. Now grab your glass section, put your glass section on. No beef there. Now you do also, inside of here, I didn't mention, but if you see the little black edge inside of these threadings inside there, so there is an O-ring inside of there. What you want to do when you're doing this, you don't want to just start screwing it on, because what will happen is you'll strip out, sorry about that. Oh, dropped it. I'm just going to grab the replacement right here because I dropped the other one on the ground. This O-ring, basically, if you just start screwing it right here, you're going to cut up that O-ring. What you want to do is you want to push firmly so it clicks. You see how it clicks? Push firmly and then start twisting it and it will hit the thread. And also to mention, let me back out on this. If I didn't already mention, you do have an O-ring right there to seal off the tank also. So remember, always when you're putting this tank back on, so you don't strip out that O-ring inside of the inner threads of that chamber, you want to push to click and then start screwing it down, and it will lock up eventually. It'll hit the thread eventually. So that is nice. You just want to make sure that glass is lined up when it does hit the thread. Okay, almost there. All right, there's that. Nice and tight. Not too bad. Now let's go ahead and put this vape band back on. And like I said, looking very closely, you twist it. Twist it a little bit more. Come on. That airflow opens. That airflow closes. There's half open on one side, on the next, on the next, on the next. So that's how you adjust your airflow. Then you put your deck back on, and you're all done. So there's a lot of parts to this. Definitely a lot of parts. But, you know, it is nice. It is very nice. I just wish the deck was a little bit different because it's not as easy to build on. And, you know, higher VG doesn't really wick as well because you're not able to build, because you're not able to have multiple options on the deck. So good, but just not really what I'm looking for at this time. I just hope they make a few changes to it, and then this thing would be stellar. I would absolutely love this if they maybe came out with a different deck. Just not a big fan of this current deck right here, but I digress. It is a good device, and it is kind of the first of its kind. So big kudos to Steam Crave. Good job. Good job. And let's go back up to FaceTime and talk about it just a little bit more. All right, so let's talk about the pros and the cons. So right away, the pros are that it's very simple. It's a very simplistic idea. You have, juice flowing down from the top, like you saw in the up close. You just build it, you wick it, lay it down, and it should pool up and wick pretty well. The only problem is its marketing that it's really good for high VG. The issue with high VG is you do need more wick for higher VG. You need to have it wicking faster, faster amounts of wicking for thicker juices, if that makes any sense. So the small amount of cotton that you're able to fit in there, you're not able to wick fast enough with the VG, if that makes sense. So, 60-40s work, 70-30s might work, but anything higher just seems to not wick fast enough because you have to make the cotton, you have to be very, very sparing, I guess, with the cotton. And, you definitely have to do smaller coils. You can't do large coils or art coils or anything in this. You're going to have to do small micro coils on these ones. But that's just kind of what I think. But as far as like the build, the machine quality, the building machine quality is top notch. The only thing I would say about quality would be that the airflow controls, I just think it's kind of just tacky. It looks really tacky. It slips off very easily. I mean, this is just my thumb, and I'm just barely wiggling it. So it's just very tacky. It doesn't seem realistic. Now, the issue is if you don't close it off and you lay it like this for a prolonged amount of time, you're going to get leaking all over the place. This thing is going to leak like crazy. Not right away, you see. I mean, there's no leak right now. I'm not having any leak issues like this. But say you lean it sideways and forget to close off the airflow, or close off the airflow. I don't know what I'm saying. You will get a lot of leaking. Like the whole tank will just go crazy on you. But that's just my thought on it. It's like I said, machining is great. Just that, and then the top of the drip tip. When you take the drip tip out, this part is super sharp, and it will cut this little O-ring on the drip tip. And I've had to replace the O-ring on the drip tip a few times on both of these. So, just little minor things. They're not deal breakers or anything like that. Just definitely minor things that could have been really improved on this. But hopefully they come out with another version with a 2-post design or a 4-post design. I would really like that. And just clean up that drip tip a little bit more and give the option, maybe provide 2 drip tips. That's really what I would think as far as improving this. Also making the juice flow, the little teeny 2 holes on each side below the deck, a little bit larger to accommodate higher VG. Or just give us another deck, because the deck is removable. Give us another deck for VG, higher VG. Something that you can, crank up to 80 watts and it will keep up. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. I'm not bashing it at all. I mean, I just don't personally enjoy it as much as other devices. For 50-50, for 0.5 ohm builds, it works great. I just think it's the airflow setup is made for warmer builds. I mean, 4 3mm airflow holes is kind of ridiculous for 0.5 ohm. That just seems like way too much airflow. So it definitely seems like it's trying to be catered to lower sub-ohming, but at the same time, it doesn't accommodate high VG. It doesn't accommodate larger coils that you could actually, get sub-ohming to, really low sub-ohming to. So that's really my only thoughts about this. As far as will I use it? Yes, I'll use it, but I'll probably only use it at 0.5 ohm or so and use it with a 50-50, 60-40. That's how I'll use this. I just don't see this really being ideal for somebody who wants to get the plumage going for plumage for days. So that's really just my thoughts on this. I'll probably get a lot of hate for this. I know a lot of people enjoy this. I just personally don't really find it, my cup of tea. But, you know, like I said, if you're a mouth to lung person, you can close it off. If you like 0.5, and if you use 50-50 juices or 60-40s, you will enjoy this one. It works pretty well. Just, I would say, you know, pick a different drip tip, because I'm not a real big fan of this drip tip. So that is my little rant on this, and that's really all. I really appreciate Steam Crave for sending this out for review. I really do enjoy it. I'm just not enjoying it as much as other things. So thank you so much, Steam Crave, for sending it out. And I do appreciate that it is a, you know, kind of a game changer, because it is a really unique design. It definitely sets it apart from other tanks and stuff. I just feel like the execution on the final product, they could have done a little bit of tweaking to really make this a stellar product. So I am absolutely looking forward to the next version of this. The next version of this, if it really just does the changes that I'm thinking in my head, not that I'm a amazing person and have great ideas, that's not what I'm trying to say, just how I would envision it, that's all I'm saying, how I would enjoy it. I would love this device. This would be my go-to device if it just had those few changes. So again, that is just my little rant. I'm just going to wrap up this review. Yeah, that's all. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please like it. And if you like my videos in general, please subscribe. And as always, stay classy and keep vaping.